welcoming everybody into our USFL player interview series, where we bring you interviews from across the league, from players, personnel, and the like. Anyone in the USFL you want to listen to, we will try and bring on as best as possible. And today, we bring on another new signing into the league, someone who has been part of this massive signing spree for the Pittsburgh Maulers. Look, Lonnie Young has been active, and he's bringing in plenty of talent. And this young man here who has played in Baylor University, from Friends University as well. He's played in the arena scene. He's going to be a tight end for your Pittsburgh Maulers coming up in 2023. Datryan Evans is joining us on the show. Datryan, first, as I've said to others that have joined on their new signings, congrats on your opportunity. Welcome to the USFL. Glad that we get to watch you play and compete this coming off season, or at least this coming off season in training camp, and of course going into April. So, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I mean, I'm still excited. It almost feels like a dream still. I don't think the reality is hit yet until I actually go off and play for Pittsburgh. But it's a blessing.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot imagine being a player at this level, getting at least your chance. I was joking kind of coming in. I only played high school, so like anytime I get to talk with a player or personnel in here, it's just cool to kind of live and see that dream unfold. So for you, I mean, this is an uncommon route, but my understanding, your college route, you kind of started out at Friends University, transitions over to Baylor. You like to take us through your time in college and just kind of, moving up that, I say, college totem pole, if you will.
Well, I actually almost didn't have the chance to go to college, or I would have been a walk on.
Okay.
The signing day of my senior year at Langston University, actually at NAIA, the receivers coach called me at like 5 something in the morning before I even got up for school. And he was like, "Hey man, do you have any offers?" And I was like, "No." He goes, "Okay, well put your suit and tie on. I'm gonna sign you today." So I went to Langston University as a freshman, and it was a good school. They treated me right, but I just kind of felt that I could do better. Nothing, no disrespect to NAIA ball or just whatever,
Mhm.
but I felt I could be better. And some of my teammates were asking me, they're like, "Hey, what are you doing here? Like, you need to go JUCO." So I went to JUCO. I went to Eastern Arizona. I didn't know that they ran a triple option wing T type offense, so it kind of didn't really benefit me at all because it was just running
Sure.
back. I was just blocking a lot, but I just kind of took advantage in practice and was like an All-American tight end in practice. I would do scout team, what the other team's tight ends do, and I sent that film to Baylor, and one of the GAs at Baylor seen it, and he brought me on as a preferred walk-on, and I was under Matt Rule. It was his first spring ball with Baylor after his first season, so
Okay.
uh, Matt Rule's a good coach. He pushed me, and I was working my way up the ladder, and then I ended up tearing my labrum during spring ball practice, and I had to sit out a year, and it was expensive at the time, and I could not pay for that without a scholarship. So
Right.
uh, I ended up transferring to Friends University, where I had a good junior season. I didn't play my senior year. I went for the NFL 2019 draft, and I didn't really have a good pro day, so I was kind of left with nothing after that. I went to semi-pro after that, and a lot of people frown on semi-pro, but I used it as a stepping stone. So I went out there and I dominated every game. I played 3 seasons semi-pro. I was able to play a little arena football with the Wichita Force. I was with Salina Liberty during the
Mhm.
COVID year, the season they didn't have. I went back to the Wichita Force, got cut from them for the second time. And then Wyoming reached out to me. I signed with Wyoming. That first game of the year, I had a big game against Dodge City, and I played 2 games after that. Was cut from Wyoming and went back to semi-pro after that.
Okay.
So I've had a journey, man.
Well,
I've kind
I
of been.
mean, I'll be honest with you, this is even more than I had find, and like I said, I try my best to get as much as I can coming in with folks. So, I'll be honest with you, the semi-pro scene. I mean, if you're talking true semi-pro, like even below arena, like you were talking like local teams that form up and do it their thing. I mean, we used to have one. I grew up in Northwest Indiana, so there was one like I remember it was a Lakeshore. I want to say like Steelers or Ironworkers. I feel like I should know that, but yeah, I mean these guys, that scene is kind of bigger than most people think. There's actually a lot of teams out there that are at that level.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's teams that produce arena guys or guys that have played arena before. So I've played against some guys semi pro that used to be in the NFL. You know, they weren't big names, but I mean, it's not just people think it's couch potatoes. Like there's some talent out there, and that's why I took it serious. So you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, for you too, it's probably I mean, you could still semi-pro, but you can at least still say, hey, I'm still actively, working out. I'm still showing that I can play, and plus I think for that, you're talking the arena scene, if we're talking rungs up, and I greatly apologize for the misinterpretation of your college career on that end, but I can at least definitely say with the arena portion, you can, those guys do look at those levels and then they
Oh yeah,
try and go up from there as well, for
they
sure.
do. My semi-pro film got me every arena opportunity I've had. I mean, that's it. That's what I mean. That's why I tell people take it serious because you just never know.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, talk about that. Let's see. So you're in the CIF. Interesting. I haven't had as many. I've had IFL guys. I'm a big NFL NAL guy. Um, CIF. I feel it fits for you. I mean, you're located more in that kind of geographical region of the
Mm-hmm.
country anyway, which is more like the Midwestern. Or true like mid central. You know, uh,
Mm-hmm.
countryside. If we're talking about that. Um, how's that atmosphere? I feel it's a little different than you get like the coastal,
Uh,
setups.
CIF is pretty. I mean, I've been in the probably the loudest arena I played in was Omaha, the Omaha Beef.
Oh, I could see that.
They Dude, that's almost like a college game. They those fans. I mean, because like besides the Cornhuskers, what other football do they have? So those Omaha games, there's a good amount of people for arena game, and it gets loud. I mean, you hear cowbells, you hear horns. I mean, Salina Liberty, those games are pretty loud. Those are probably the two loudest places I've been in. So yeah, I mean, even when Wichita Force was at Interest Bank Arena, that those games were pretty loud too. So I mean, the CIF it's been around. So that's the only level arena I've been on. I haven't been able to be IFL or NAL, but
Not bad. I was going to wait and see if you said the cowbells. That's like the one thing when I've watched Omaha games. And the fact they call it the slaughterhouse, it's just it
there's a
also.
lot. That's all you can barely hear your quarterback cadence. You can barely hear your coach. Even in the locker room, you just hear the stands because the locker rooms are right underneath like the stands. You could just hear people. I mean, it was loud.
Oh man, I love it. I will be honest. That is one place. I'm not even joking. This isn't just like a conversational thing. That is the CIF team. Like if I've been told for just the fan atmosphere. So absolutely. Although Wyoming, they've been putting up. I mean, you talk about a team you joined. That was one that they had a fan base kind of come out all of a sudden their first year, and we're like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
no, we love the sport already. No big deal.
yeah.
So
One thing I did like about Wyoming, the kids. I mean, they looked at us like we were already in the NFL. I mean, I after some games, I would spend 30, 40 minutes on the field after the game just signing autographs and signing shirts and balloon clappers, handful, whatever you can think. Like sometimes it was our own gloves. We take our glove off and sign it and give them to kids. I mean, those kids, like I said, it's like we were already in the NFL there. So it was pretty cool.
hmm. Oh, I mean, I bet. I mean, locally, I think a lot of people forget that there are communities that don't always follow the national thing. It's like it depends on what their thing is. An arena, like especially the CIF, I feel like, and you're saying it firsthand. I mean, these people, they see it as more like it's their team. Who cares
Uh,
what else is outside of this? Maybe we follow a professional team or whatever. This is our squad. These are our stars, our players. You know, we care about it that way. So,
definitely out in the community. I mean, in the community, they know that hey, he plays for the Mustangs or he plays for the Beef or so. Just anywhere. They know and they treat you like this is their team that represents their city. So it was pretty cool.
let's talk about the opportunities, I guess, because this has been more and more coming up. Actually, seeing a few players talking. This year alone, you're getting you have so many different avenues now. I think than ever before. It's got to be. I imagine for you. I'm curious as yourself as a player. I know you've had, much a unique route to get up to this level. and everything. But I imagine that's got to be good feeling knowing, hey, even if I do have, it's still, you have to have your shot taken. It is nice that there are these different, at least skews I can go, a lot more so than even say 10 years ago.
Oh yeah. Growing up, of course, all we had was CFL and NFL, and then AFL one and IFL and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
now there's so many more outdoor avenues: USFL, XFL, the Mexico League that's
Yeah.
blown up. You still got overseas the GFL. There's just so many, and there's another league. I think it's GFL 8 or some type of another outdoor league that's blowing up. It's cool because instead of a lot of people sitting at home, there's so many good people that can play now and get that film to try to get to that next level, whatever it is. So
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I imagine so. And it's funny I bring this up as well because your agency you're with Griff Carl, they've been signed on USFL guys, XFL, they're doing overseas. You're talking. I just bring them up because you know, got to give them. I got to give them praise for the fact they're getting
Oh,
everybody and everywhere.
if people knew. The Griff. Honestly, Griff wasn't even gonna sign me at first. I just kind of, messaged him one night. I'm like, hey, I see this dude just, putting people out there. I'm like, hey, let me just message him. I messaged him, sent him all my film. He's like, hey, man, I'll take a look at it, but I'm full. And he came back and he's like, hey, you from Texas? I'm about to give you a call because he's from Texas. He's from Beaumont, and I'm
Okay.
like, my hometown's like 2 hours away from him. So we just connected. We kicked it off. I signed the contract with him, and a couple of days later, he's like, "Hey, Lonnie Young wants to sign you from the Pittsburgh Maulers." And I called my girlfriend, and I was crying. I called my mom. I was still crying, and it felt unreal. Especially just how fast it happened. It wasn't even a full 48 hours. So
Dang. Okay.
because before I was in the XFL draft, I had got my invite and stuff, so I was doing the paperwork and stuff. I was waiting for that, but for this to just happen in 2 days, I'm like, I'm about to sign, and everybody's like, yeah, you should do it. So it was a crazy moment. I was at work, literally at work. I stepped out to the conference room. I'm crying in the conference room, and I came back out, tears are still running down my face, and my employees are just looking at me. So it was pretty cool. I thank Griff and his agency for doing what they did for me. I appreciate that.
That's a feel good moment to hear that right there. I didn't realize it as well. It's not always every story you hear like that, but it's crazy like that fast. It flips in 2 days. And talk about, like I said, it's just the opportunity you wait for. You hear that, and it feels good. I think for fans, it feels awesome to see that with this type of league. And I think for yourself, I didn't even realize this other part either. You know, you are putting. You had yourself going to the draft pool, but I get what they're saying too. You got a guaranteed, got a contract for replace. You
Mm.
know, that's a decision, of course, you got to make. But having that right there, you know, I bet. I can see the logic. Go on. You're already on a roster.
Yeah, I thought about it. I'm like 1,400 people in the XFL draft or a guarantee, USFL contract. Then I seen USFL put, I think, was it 54 guys in the NFL
Mm-hmm.
camp. They've proven themselves. XFL is just coming back. I'm not saying they're gonna crash or anything, but you just
Sure.
never. So I just kind of was like, I'm just gonna go with the USFL. It's guaranteed. I just seen their work. I'm gonna go with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, completely understand that logic. Now, for yourself, how was your conversation with Lonnie Young? Did you get to talk to him a bit here when you were signed? How much
Yeah,
have you gotten to interact with some of the staff that you have that you're going to be with the Maulers?
I've only talked to Lonnie. He called me. Like I say, I signed my contract with Griff on like Monday night. Uh, Tuesday came by. Wednesday morning, he was like, Griff sent my film out. Wednesday evening, Lonnie Young called me. He introduced himself, told me what he did, who he is, and he said they were like, "Hey, we love your film." The OC and the head coach, they're like crazy about you. They're like, "There's like you're fast, you got good hands." They're like, "Where have you been? Why aren't you in the NFL already?" This and that. And we talked about life a little bit. He kind of said he was a businessman and I told him about myself, and he said he's excited to sign me. So it's pretty cool. My friend actually played for the Maulers the first season, Jeremiah Farms.
No
We were
way.
we were
Okay.
we were teammates at Friends University, and he called me and told me good things about the head coach and the organization. He said I'm going to love it, and he said he doesn't have any doubt that I'm not going to go take care of business and get where he is now. He's on the Patriots now, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's great. I didn't even put two and two together with that, and but talk about yeah. I mean, that's as much of an endorsement as you can get as someone that's been there, done that. So, what are the odds?
Small world.
Small world indeed, but hey, the right coincidence, like perfect lining up, and I like to hear that. I know last year, the Maulers, if you talk to anyone that's a fan of the league, it's a lot of, I think, trying to, rebrand the image. And I'm not going to go too farther in because I don't want anyone throwing certain jokes my way on the comments section of this, but I mean, Lonnie's changing over. He's a new GM, of course, and you guys, as they know, are trying to bring a winning culture there, and trying to right the ship. More than one win next year, for sure. I imagine it's on the plate.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I watched the Maulers a lot because, like I said, I was following Farms, so I watched every game.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine so. If he's your friend, I would say I'd be tuning in and be like, okay, how's he doing today? I got blow off the ball, but that's okay. Next play, you'll get him. No, I'm messing. Well, Datryan, I got before we go, here's my thing. I got to ask, what are some of your goals here for leading up to training camp? I understand we haven't gotten a specific date, but pretty much anyone we talked to that's player based or anything, it's supposed to be like March coming up there, that I think we've been told. How's your schedule, I guess, to be prepared, stay steady until that comes?
I'm right now. I'm doing 2 a days. I'm up at 5 in the morning. I'm at the gym by 5:10, 5:15. It's literally on the other side of the highway. I go to work.
Okay.
I have my conditioning in the evening. I start my speed training next week, and with my agility with my receiver coach. So I want to be the best tight end in the USFL this next season. That's what I want to be known for.
So, gotta say, never had a power outage mid interview, but here we are, ladies and gentlemen. First one I've had in 3+ years of podcasting. So, thanks for being patient with me, Datryan. I wanted to finish up by just saying good luck to the end of this upcoming season of yours. Definitely excited to see you play. And look, your journey's been pretty incredible in terms of just hearing different levels. Like I said, I don't think I've had anyone that I'm aware of that I've talked to in the past that has truly said I've played semi-pro and I'm gotten up to here. So that's got to be pretty awesome for those that get to listen in, or maybe a player you get to inspire saying, hey, don't give up. There's ways to go up. So I think
Yeah.
we're wishing you the best, and thanks a bunch for joining the show.
Thank you. Appreciate you for having me.